Dr. Katherine Albrecht Show.
Raise a signal flag on a bare hilltop. Call up an army against Babylon. Raise a signal flag on a bare hilltop. Call up an army against Babylon. Wave your hand to encourage them. Wave your hand to encourage them. As they march into the palaces of the high and mighty. I, the Lord, have dedicated these soldiers for this task. Yes, I have called mighty warriors to express my anger. Yes, I have called mighty warriors to express my anger. And they will rejoice when I am exalted.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Dr. Katherine Albrecht Show, also streaming on Katherine Albrecht Radio on Facebook, on YouTube. I am delighted today and horrified today, both, to welcome my friend Mary Flynn, who has been on this program before. Mary is a member of my church, and we've been kind of working behind the scenes on a couple of things. Mary is joining me today to talk about scams part 2. And yesterday I devoted the show. If you joined me for it, we talked about the scam for a $15,800 Honda Civic that I almost purchased from someone who seemed legitimate, but it was actually a scammer using someone else's email. So joining me now is part 2 of this because I almost fell for another scam. Are you there, Mary? Hello.
I am. Thank you for having me, Catherine.
All right. Well, Mary and I'll give a little bit of the background on the story, and then you can share the mortifying scam that almost happened to both of us. I have a children's book called I Won't Take the Mark, and that children's book has not been available on Amazon since Christmas time when we sold out of copies. And the reason for that is that I have not been able to figure out how to establish a Amazon seller account that is for my business as opposed to me. Anyway, it's a long story. Those books had been fulfilled by a book fulfillment company in New Hampshire that I worked with for many, many years. They have a warehouse, they did the fulfillment, and they use their own Amazon account. But we have struggled a bit to try to find out how to, or try to figure out how to set up our own fulfillment through a local company with an Amazon account. And so after a couple of false starts and a number of different attempts, Mary actually found somebody to do it, and it was a little too good to be true. So Mary, let me let you share the experience of finding these people, and then let's talk to the listeners and tell them exactly what happened so that we can alert people to be aware of scams. And isn't it funny that I just did a show on scams, and there we were in the midst, as I was doing the show, of potentially falling for yet another scam. So the scammers are out there, and I just really need to warn our listeners and alert people to what's going on. So yeah, go ahead and tell us what happened when you were poking around looking for a way to do what we're trying to do.
Right. So as I begun my research, I started with Amazon Publishing, and Amazon Publishing took me down several rabbit holes, but always kept me on the Amazon site. So I finally reached an Amazon publisher, a senior publisher, who I was actually able to chat with, and then ultimately get his name and his phone number and have live conversations with him about their marketing services. So the marketing service plan that they put together and gave to us was like so perfect. There was launch and promotion, social media and content, paid advertising, community, offline outreach, long-term growth, sales goal tracking, book shipment, compensation, terms, confidentiality, and I won't even go on because there's so much more. that was just so perfect for exactly what we were looking to do with the surplus of books we've got ready to have Amazon sell for us. And after several hours of conversations with this gentleman, trying to make sure I understood the contract, I asked him, okay, what does it cost? What's going to cost us to do this? And he indicated that it was a 50% off promotion, and it would cost us $3,200 and some dollars to promote it. And I asked him how we paid for that, and he said, "Well, I'm going to give you a routing number and an account number to our bank, and you can just send the money that way." And right away, I said, "No, something's not. This is ugly. Something's not right about this." And I stewed on it and stewed on it and stewed on it. And then after Catherine and I talked, and I let her know that I was uncomfortable with it, I started to get these emails from gentleman's name is Jake Williams. I do not have a problem mentioning his name. I started getting these wire transfers,
Well,
copies
you
of
had asked
really.
first. So prior to that, I'm just going to back up just a little bit.
Sure.
Set the groundwork here for people. So the book, my book came out 2 months before I was actually less than 2 months, probably about 5 weeks before I wound up in 2015 in the emergency room having an 11-hour neurosurgery for breast cancer, two huge tumors in my brain. And it was in the middle of a blizzard, and if I didn't have surgery that night, I could have gone into a coma and died. So the book came out the first week in November in time for Christmas sales in 2014. Yeah. And then right after Christmas, I wound up in the hospital and didn't think I was going to be around much longer because of what had happened to me. So I currently have, and longtime listeners know that I currently have stage 4 breast cancer, but I'm in treatment and everything's going great, and I'm healthy. But as a result of that, the book launch that I had planned for 2015 never took place because I was in a year of treatment and surgery and all kinds of other things, and really didn't know if the book would ever become anything. And then I had my 7-year hiatus that people who have listened to the show know about, where I just kind of dropped off the face of the map. And so coming back from all of that, I said, wow, we've got 6,000 copies of this book. And I know the Lord wants that in children's hands. And so that's where, we reached out to the book fulfillment company, and they were like, well, you've been gone for 7 years. We need to ship this inventory out. And we need to, so Mary and I were like, well, where do we put it? What do we do? Who's going to fulfill this? And the deal that Mary found, and I was really impressed, Mary, and you were super excited, and we were like, I think we figured it out. It looked like the perfect book launch that I should have done back in 2015 had I not gotten sick. And so that book
Right.
launch involved sending out advance copies, review copies, advertising and social media advertising, on Amazon,
Yeah.
having a promoted product on Amazon. They wanted the manuscript of the book. They were talking about doing a video version and a book and setting up book readings and book signings. And so it was all the sorts of things that were absolutely perfect for the launch of a new book. And we were essentially going to get a second chance at launching this beautiful children's book called I Won't Take the Mark, which, by the way, you cannot buy right now. So if you have a copy, hang on to it because it's golden. You can't buy it because we can't figure out how to get it to Amazon to get it to you. So that's the current situation. So as we heard all of this, and you're emailing me and calling me and texting me and saying it's great and it's looking even better, and it looks like he's going to give us a 50% discount, and it's fantastic, and here, let me send all this over. And then when it came up that he wanted a bank transfer, and you and I both thought that was a little bit strange because I've done bank transfers before for college tuition and other large payments, and I understand that. And usually what they'll say is you can either give us a credit card and there's a 2.5% charge if you want to pay that, or if you want to avoid the charge, you can do a transfer using your bank routing number and account number. And so if it's a university, like, my daughter's in college, so that's how I paid her college tuition. That makes perfect sense because I don't want to pay 2.5% on that. But in this case, I found it odd, and you're the one who spotted it first, that wait, why do they just want a bank transfer? And so I then said, well, let's ask him if we can do a credit card with 2.5%. That's $3,200, and that's a fair bit of money. Why is he wanting a bank transfer? Why doesn't he just want a credit card? And then we started thinking, well, hang on, if this is Amazon, Amazon takes credit cards. Amazon
Right.
is probably the biggest taker of credit cards on planet Earth, frankly. And that's when we started kind of getting a little bit suspicious, and the plot thickens. So when we come back, my guest Mary Flynn is talking to we're both talking to you about a scam we almost fell for, and it gets weirder and weirder. So stay tuned. All right, Mary, we'll be right back. Stick with us.
Thank you.
Why are most email programs free? Companies use them as bait to lure people into their system so they can scan their data and sell them to advertisers. It's like a hotel giving out free rooms so they can film people sleeping and then sell the video. You'd never agree to that. StartMail restores your privacy. No one but you sees your sensitive data, and it costs less than a postage stamp a week. StartMail.com. It's email you can trust. Your email is your business, but if it's spied on, hacked, or intercepted, it can fall into the wrong hands. The solution is encryption, a high-tech way to scramble your data so no one can read it. For years, only the technical elite could use this powerful tool until StartMail came along. StartMail not only lets you encrypt the email you send, it encrypts your entire account. Encryption. It's just one more way StartMail.com keeps you safe.
Hi, this is Joe Jaquin, owner of the Patriot Trading Group. I'm sure you're probably aware of the reputations of many of the precious metals dealers here in the Front Range. I talk to customers all the time that know gold and silver are strong investments, that they are a hedge against a volatile economy. But these customers don't know where to buy gold and silver and are very justifiably concerned that they'll get ripped off. So I want to make you this promise. At Patriot Trading Group, there are no commission salespeople. We don't make outbound phone calls. We don't try to upsell you into some scam or package that we created. We don't disclose your information to anyone ever. The majority of our business comes from referrals and long-time repeat customers. If you're looking to learn about or invest in precious metals, give us a call at 800-951-0592 or go to allamericangold.com. That's 800-951-0592 or go to allamericangold.com. The Patriot Trading Group. No salespeople, no calls, just old-fashioned service.
The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. Abounding in steadfast love.
Welcome back. My guest is Mary Flynn. We're talking about a scam with Amazon that we almost fell for. Now, Mary, this guy, what you said his name is Jake?
Yeah, Jake Williams, and there's a reason I mentioned his name, but I'll explain that in a minute.
Yeah, so Jake Williams sounds like a pretty standard, basic American guy name. You did not notice, I noticed when I spoke to him today that he does have a slight accent. It seemed like maybe a Filipino accent or maybe a slight Indian accent, but you had not noticed that initially when you talked to him because it's pretty faint. You have to really listen for it. And Jake Williams sounds like a pretty American name. Now, the company is called Amazon Publishing, and the contract, I was going to have a copy of it. I'll see during the break if I can scoot over and see if I can grab it. But the contract at the top has the logo of Amazon Publishing. It says Amazon Publishing, and it has the Amazon, the Amazon book logo that people have seen before associated with Amazon. And it looked legitimate. The address that he provided at the bottom of that was also a New York City address that corresponds to Amazon. and he seemed legitimate. His email address was, whatever his name, Jake Williams at AmazonPublishing.com, and everything was seemed to be proceeding except for this one little catch, which is, why do you want me to send money through a routing number and an account number directly as a bank wire, as opposed to what Amazon's in the business of taking payments. I would assume that they would be able to take a check, certainly a credit card. I would think that any payment method would work with the largest receiver of money and payments in pretty much in the world and in all of history. And I'm thinking Amazon. So let me let you continue what happened when you brought up the question of, hang on, I'm getting suspicious. What's going on with this bank wire?
Right, and that's exactly what happened. I said to Jake right away, I said, this could be anybody's account number and routing number. So how do I know this is valid for Amazon? And then I found out that they are actually not Amazon. They are a third-party company called Waves Publishing Group, LLC, that actually indicates that they are part of Amazon Publishing. When I did that research today, they are
but
not.
But you didn't
part
know
of
that
Amazon
yet. So
Publishing.
let's see if we can unfold this chronologically in terms of what we did know. So what we knew so far is that he claims to be Amazon Publishing. He wants this routing number, and you pushed back a little bit and said, "What's up with the routing number?" And tell us what kind of response he had and what evidence he provided.
Yeah. So what happened was, as soon as he felt I was getting a little suspicious, he decided that he would send some proof over from customers that have actually done business with them. So he actually sent me over a live wire transfer from a gentleman named Robert Patterson with his address, his phone number in Texas.
Well, let's not go into too much detail because I don't want to out poor Robert, who also has been scammed.
No, well, I'm hoping to get him on the show at some point, but he's the sweetest man. But it's a $15,000 wire transfer, the poor guy. And interestingly enough, I called him today.
Well, hang on, before you get to that. So I want to get to the today stuff at the end. I just want to talk about leading up to yesterday. So you and I met and looked at this wire transfer, and I said to you, I think it's weird that he would send you evidence that he's not a scammer. Like, Amazon doesn't do that. Like, legitimate companies don't send you evidence that they're not scammers. And on top of that, the fact that the, quote, evidence that he sent you was someone else's, now get this, someone else's live wire transfer with their bank number and their routing number and their account number. In other words, plus their full address, their full phone number, and their full name. So this scammer sent Mary the literal information that she or I, had we been criminals and scammers, could use to actually make a wire transfer out of his account. Because when I make a wire transfer, that's the information I provide, my name, my address, my account number, my routing information, and voila. So I, right off, immediately, I'm like, something is not right here. Now, do you have the text that he sent you stating that he was legitimate? Because this got even weirder.
You know what? The thing is that he sent so many texts. I think he was becoming desperate. And I was actually sharing these with Catherine on the phone. He was becoming desperate to the point where his English started getting a little questionable, his grammar, his punctuation. And he just kept providing us one testimony after another on his own behalf about how long he's been in the business and about how customers are so appreciative of him and that he's never been questioned before, and the reason they want to do wire transfers using routing numbers and account numbers is because they've been scammed before.
And that's the funny part. I got to jump in here because Amazon saying that they've been scammed. Of course, Amazon has been scammed a billion trillion times. If a legitimate person working for Amazon is not going to say, we've been scammed before, therefore we can't take normal payments. We require a bank routing number, because Amazon gets scammed all the time and they take any kind of payment. They're happy to take your money however you want to get it to them.
Exactly.
And it's not like people are buying their paper towels and their, dog food through Amazon using routing numbers with their bank. So already all of it was weird. The email, the text I was hoping you might be able to find is the one where he said, "I'm a legitimate businessman." and I'm very well trusted, and I've worked with this company for a long time, and it was just so
Yes,
ridiculous, the
that's
dumb.
exactly what I just said. Exactly what you said is exactly what he had said. I'm legitimate. I've been working for this company for 7 years. I've never had any complaints. My customers love me. And so he was like just providing his own personal testimony on the fact that he wasn't a scammer, which he was.
That's
Oh,
insane.
and here's something I found out that you're really going to like. So this poor Robert Patterson, I
All right.
asked
Well,
him, I said, who?
hang on. Let me bring people up to speed. So we met today.
Okay.
Mary and I met today at noon, and I looked over this material and I pulled out this routing. I mean, it's literally like a formal 8.5 by 11 sheet of all the routing information that's been filled out and typed in for 11,000. Is it 11 or 15,000? 15,000, wasn't it?
15,000.
Yeah, for 15K. And I'm looking at this going, this is ridiculous. This is confidential information. No legitimate company is going to prove their legitimacy by sharing someone else's name and phone number and routing number and address and showing that they received 11 or $15,000 from somebody. None of it was adding up. So at this point, we knew it was a scam. We fully knew it was a scam, and we were just trying to figure out what to do next. So you texted this guy, this Jake guy, because we had an appointment to talk to him today at 12:30, and so you texted him and said, I think we got on the phone with him, and I heard an accent. I heard a little faint accent, and then I said to him, Mary said, "I've got the author on the phone with you. Here's Katherine Albrecht." And so I said, "Hi, so nice to meet you. And I see all the stuff you're doing, but I just have a question. Are you part of Amazon?" And he said, "Well, we contract with Amazon. We're like a subdivision of Amazon, or we're a third party, whatever. It's some kind of Amazon relationship." And I said, "Is it like, can I speak to someone at Amazon? Who's your contact there? I want to talk to someone at Amazon to verify that you're really with Amazon, because it's just something's not adding up here." He goes, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I will text you back. I'll get back to you." So we hang up, and then Mary, you got a couple of calls that you did not pick up, but one of them was a voicemail from a guy saying, "This is whatever name at Amazon. I was asked to call you," and of course we have
No,
not
no, he
spoken to
said
him.
nothing. He said nothing. He said, "Hi, this is Curtis from Amazon." And that was it. There was nothing else on the voicemail. There was no
Okay,
phone number, no follow up, no nothing.
this is Curtis, and that guy had an accent too. So our
He did.
scammer here, our scammer grabbed a friend, a buddy, and said, "Hey, can you call these guys and say that you're with Amazon and that I'm legitimate?" Now we never followed up. That was a couple hours ago, and we decided to just drop the case at that point. Now let me tell you.
Right.
So I said, Mary, we've got the phone number of the guy that they scammed, the last guy they scammed, or the person who sent the wire transfer. Maybe he got something out of it. I don't know. And now I'll let you tell the story of giving him a call.
Yeah, I felt so bad for him. I actually called him, identified who I was, and just shared with him the information that I got. And then I validated every piece of information on here: his address, his phone number, the account numbers, the amount, the company name, the address of the company name, and it was totally legit. He sent $15,000 to
Oh
this
my
to this
gosh.
company.
Oh
So
my
and
gosh.
he's not getting any of the services. And interestingly enough, the account rep at Amazon that publications that he's working with is Jake Williams.
And so now yesterday when we were looking into this, we found a couple things. One is I found a website. I'm going to invite the woman who runs this website to come on the show and talk about it. But we found a website that says authors don't fall for these Amazon publishing promotional scams. And she has a list of over 1,000 companies on there. and AmazonPublishing.com was not listed, but nevertheless, it seemed to fall into this category. So we went online and we punched in AmazonPublishing.com. Let me see if I can do this on YouTube for the viewers, and you can actually see.
Yeah.
Hang on, where's my window? Here we go. Where's that Firefox window?
One
That's
thing
this
after
one.
another.
All right, hang on. It was the wrong one. So I'm going to punch in. Hang on, let me get it where people can see it here. All right, so I'm going to punch in Amazon Publishing, and I want you to see what pops up. Amazon. Let's see if I can do it before the break. Publishing.com. All right, watch this. It's not going to load. Oh, now it says virtual host not found. Well, before it said account suspended. So you were good to take a screen capture of that. You can send it to me during the break. I'll put it up. All right, stay tuned.
Is your email box overrun with spam? With a StartMail account, you'll never have to give your real email address to a stranger again. Online shopping, newsletter subscriptions, getting that 30% off coupon, they all need your email address. But with StartMail, you can invent new addresses or aliases linked to your inbox behind the scenes and give those out to people while keeping your real address hidden. It's just one more protection from StartMail.com.
Red alert, Yahoo users. You've fallen in a trap that could ruin your life if you keep using Yahoo.
You consent to sharing all data in your email account with our AI providers, and you grant us a perpetual license to use, display, publish, and publicly distribute your content in any media known now or in the future, and to let other users access and distribute it as well.
Yikes. It's time to switch to StartMail, the only email that's AI-free and private by design. StartMail.com. Use promo code JD.
1360khnc.com has CBD products.
Just click on the My Kind button at the top of the page.
The CBD on our website is 99% pure, all natural, no pesticides, non-GMO, is grown organically right here in Colorado, and is 100% THC free. Oh, and did you know ours is the lowest price CBD anywhere in northern Colorado?
For all your CBD needs, go to 1360khnc.com and click on the My Kind button at the top of the page.
The Blue Dragon Spa is a man-friendly spa, with women bringing their husbands and significant others in for pedicures all the time. Men's feet hurt too, don't forget. Blue Dragon Spa, 1811 Hover Street, Suites A and B, Longmont, Colorado, 720-680-0492, 720-680-0492.
Socialism, like the ancient ideas from which it springs, confuses the distinction between government and society. As a result, every time we object to a thing being done by government, the socialists conclude we object to it being done at all. We disapprove of state education, and the socialists say we are opposed to any education. Socialism. Frederick Bastiat, The Law.
Most people think they can't afford to invest in gold and silver. But at the Patriot Trading Group, we believe that everyone should have the opportunity to own hard assets. That's why we created our Preferred Metals program. You can get started for as little as $100 a month. Go to allamericangold.com and click on our Preferred Metals icon to learn how you can get started today. Or call us at 800-951-0592. The Patriot Trading Group, allamericangold.com.
Don't need to write to you about the importance of loving each other. For God Himself has taught you how to love one another. Indeed, you already show your love for all the believers throughout the world. Throughout, even so, dear brothers and sisters, we urge you to love even more your hands. Oh, oh.
Hey, we're back. Dr. Katherine Albrecht here, also streaming on YouTube. If you look for the Dr. Katherine Albrecht Show, please like and subscribe and do all those good things, and comment on there. I haven't paid too much attention to my YouTube stream. It's kind of been in the background of a little thing I learned how to do and just hit play. So look forward to some changes there. A little more professional snazz is going to come. But in the meantime, I'm delighted to have you guys there. Or you can join me in my chat room at Katherine-Albrecht.com. Remember, the program is sponsored by StartMail. So if you do not yet have a StartMail account, please get one as a backup so that you can send email privately that's not being cataloged and recorded by AI. All right, my guest this hour is Mary Flynn, my dear friend Mary Flynn. She and I have been putting our heads together trying to figure out the best way to promote my children's book, I Won't Take the Mark. And you can see it if you go on Amazon. You can see I Won't Take the Mark on Amazon. You can flip through the pages. You can read the excellent reviews. I think it's all 5-star reviews, except for a couple of people who are like, "All this Christian stuff is nonsense." So they're like 1-star reviews, but it would have 5 stars if it were only up to people who actually legitimately bought the book because they wanted to read it. And I will keep you posted on our success or future endeavors to try to get that book into your hands so that you can get it into children's hands where it belongs, rather than in a warehouse where it doesn't belong. All right, Mary, we were talking about the scandal that we almost fell for. It looked legitimate, AmazonPublishing.com. And here's the other part that you were sharing is we have 250 books right now in our possession. I have them in a storage unit a couple blocks away, and I need to get them to Amazon so that Amazon can fulfill the orders that have come in and restock the book. And we have not been able to figure out where to even mail them or how to set that up at Amazon because we've not been able to reach a person. And so the exciting part about this was that you had actually reached a person. Now, if you had reached a legitimate person at Amazon, some of the things that happened probably would be a little bit odd. Tell us about the hours and the times of day that you were speaking to him.
Yeah, interestingly enough, he made himself available to me all the time. Any time during the day, he was available, and he would say that. I'm available all day today, even on a business day. And then I had questions over the weekend, so I thought, well, I'll just text him so when he sees them on Monday, you know, he was on the phone with me on the weekend answering all my questions.
Didn't you spend like an hour and a half on the phone on Sunday?
On Sunday, we spent almost 2 hours on the phone on Sunday.
So who has who a legitimate sales rep or executive at Amazon is going to be slotting you into a pretty full calendar? The other thing is, yesterday when we decided that we actually wanted to talk to him, I just said, well, we're meeting at noon, let's talk to him at 12:30, and he's like, okay, 12:30, I'll be there. And then at 12:30 he's blowing up your phone, already calling you. And the instant availability, I think, is another sign. So I just want to, I'm trying to help people figure out what are the symptoms. And I would think one of the symptoms is the complete instant availability, the answering of texts instantly. Like you send him a text and he writes you back within like a minute. You are getting a reply to your text. Yeah. And, you know, both of our experience in corporate America is that, you know, you're not going to get that kind of service unless you're, you know, who knows, Jeff Bezos or something, calling about your yacht. But for the most part, regular people do not get that kind of service, especially not from a company the size of Amazon, where we can't get anybody to even respond to us or even answer the chat window. So those are some of the signs. Do you have any other signs that you would point to in hindsight that might be helpful for people to avoid this kind of scam?
Well, the sharing of bank information and the proof of information that there are previous customers, you know, that are legitimate, and so the legitimate financial information. And then another thing is that any time that you're asked for money up front is not an option either. And I just found that out today. So as I looked through Wade's Publication Group, LLC, and found out it was not associated with Amazon, Amazon listed, here's some things you need to look for in terms of a scam. And one of them was they should never ask you for money up front, which they were asking us for money.
So in a situation like this, if this was a legitimate publicity firm, there would be a payment up front.
You would think so.
Yeah, there would be a payment. They're not going to do any services for someone who's not going to send them money. So I'm not sure about the payment up front part. But it does seem, the extreme level of eagerness, the extreme unprofessionalism, because you were reading me his text yesterday, I'm a legitimate business person. I've worked for this company. I've never had a complaint. And then
Right.
the frantic sending you of evidence. And then when I ask for an Amazon rep to actually receive a phone call from an Amazon rep, supposedly within, probably 20 minutes, half an hour, to have Amazon on the phone calling me, some supervisor or some, senior person at Amazon he works with, it's just, that's not going to happen. So you bear in mind, these scammers, this is their full-time job, is scamming you. And so
Right.
if that entails talking to you on Sunday, if that entails talking to you at midnight, if that entails answering your emails and standing by on standby for anything that might come up to prevent you from, dropping out of the deal, they're going to totally go for that. So, yeah, and actually we have.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to read some comments that have been coming in the chat room.
Great.
This is coming in from David. He's got a couple of comments here. Erica writes in and says, I won't fall for the scam, instead of I won't take the mark. I won't fall for the scam would be a good children's book. And I think we need not only a children's book, I think we need a website, a campaign or something, because this has become so prominent and prevalent and so much more difficult to find now that everything's online. And what I was going to say is, when we didn't know where to ship the books, he gave you an address and said, ship them here. I'll get them listed on Amazon. And he gave you Amazon's legitimate shipping address. And of course, if you look that up, that's like, well, it's got to be him. And then I pointed out, well, he doesn't care if he gets our $3,000 and we ship 250 books to the Amazon, loading dock, who's going to be like, what are these books here? And throw them away or whatever. He doesn't care if you do that.
Right.
He doesn't want the 250 books. He's not going to give you his legitimate address because he doesn't want our books. He wants our money. He wants that wire transfer to happen. So they will often
I don't think that's even in the country. I don't think that's even in the country.
Who knows? And all right, so let me read a couple more of these comments. Let's see. David writes a couple things. He says, is there going to be a scams part 3? Because this is part 2. He says, I hope not.
Huh.
That I hope not either, but I would imagine that we could do a lengthy series on this if people want to call in and share their own experiences of being scammed or avoiding scams. Let's see. And then there's one more comment here. David says, an accent doesn't always mean scam these days because of all the outsourcing. Can't remember when I got a big business on the phone and there wasn't an accent. All right. So I'm not saying that's necessarily, but he had a name. Normally when people have an accent, they have a name that corresponds to the accent. Have you noticed that? Like, normally it's not like, like Mike Smith and he's speaking with a Filipino accent or an Indian accent. It's normally got a name that corresponds to that. But this guy, Jake Williams, that's a really American name. And he did not sound like a Jake Williams. He didn't sound like his last name was Williams at all. One more thing here.
And his the Amazon rep that he was directing us to, or directing to call us, his name was Curtis Phelps.
And he also
that's
had
very
an accent.
American. And he also had, I kept his voicemail, so I do have that.
Yeah, just. And now here, David says, when given Robert's banking information, my first question would be, are you going to be sharing my bank information with other customers? So, clearly it's just horrifying. It's kind of like receiving someone's medical information. It's like a HIPAA violation. You shouldn't be able to share someone's name, address, phone number, and routing number, along with, the amount and all of their bank details. It's horrifying.
This is actually a felony. And Catherine, you had done a little bit of research yesterday on, I think somebody directed you to an FBI site to start reporting these fraud things to. So when I was talking with Robert, I gave him that information and said this needs to get reported to the FBI. Because basically, if they shared Robert Patterson's information as financial proof that they are legitimate, which is a scam in itself, then they're going to share anybody's.
Exactly. No, I'm glad the FBI is getting involved. I'll see if I can maybe get somebody from the FBI fraud department to join us on the show and give us some tips to find these things. But yeah, this is just... It's everywhere. All right, stay tuned. I'm Katherine Albrecht, visiting with Mary Flynn. We'll be right back.
I've been hearing a lot about the LifeWave patches, and they sound amazing. And I'm thinking I want to try them for myself. But can you tell me how they work?
You wear the patch, which is about the size of a quarter, 12 hours a day. 12 on, 12 off. And the patch uses your body's own light and energy and copper peptides to reactivate the dormant stem cells in your body. Once a stem cell has been reactivated, it can be used by any of the cells in your body that need it, creating a healing and growth process you haven't experienced since your youth. So in a nutshell, this is how the LifeWave X39 patch works.
You can purchase the LifeWave patches by going to americasfreedomnetwork.com. Then click on the Natural Health Products button at the top of the page. That's americasfreedomnetwork.com.
Look, this product works, and you've got nothing to lose because there's a 100% money-back guarantee.
That's americasfreedomnetwork.com. Thank you.
Well, you numbskull, you lame brain. How could you pull such a boneheaded stunt? Of all the knuckleheaded things to do.
Well, I'm sorry, Sergeant Clark. I don't know how in the world I could have done a thing like that.
Well, I do. That Veterans Concrete over here on the double. They'll get this concrete poured.
I'll do it, and don't you worry, Sergeant.
You see? What did I tell ya? It's perfect. Beautiful every time.
Golly.
Call Veterans Concrete at 970-444-8250. Veterans Concrete, 970-444-8250.
Listen up. If you're not listening to Swamp Fight, then guess what? You're not listening. Catch JD live Tuesdays at noon right here on AM 1360. That's Tuesdays at 12 noon on the Roar of the Rockies.
Want to comment on today's subject? You can. Call or text Catherine right now at 877-536-1360. That's 877-536-1360.
So I'm going to jump in. I got a text here from Ray in Pennsylvania who says, imagine a daily radio program entitled Scammed, good practical info on fraud and scamming operations. Actually, that seems like it would make a really good podcast. I know that people have true crime podcasts and podcasts on various things. It seems to me that if someone wanted to do a podcast on scamming, that there would be enough content to do literally a daily show on scamming. It has become epidemic. It's everywhere. It's insane. So, Mary, in hindsight, now that we're 2 days into this, we could be out, let's see, $3,200 there, $15,800. So that's 16, 17, 18, that $19,000 that scammers have attempted to extract from my bank account in just the last, the last, well, the other one came through in February. So, in 2 months, but still, it's horrifying. I don't know how you could have avoided falling for this. Let me just think this through. So when you go on the internet and you search for a particular thing, which in this case you were looking for Amazon publicity services that might be related or fulfillment to Amazon, or there were certain searches that you did and they led you to this company, the thousand other companies that this one lady and her website were warning people about obviously have SEO, search engine optimization, and certain searches lead them to them. It would be interesting when you talk to Robert again to try to find out from him, how did he find them? Where did that come from? But living in the world that we do, where it's not like the Yellow Pages back in the 1980s, where you could pick up the Yellow Pages, and if there was a plumber and you called the number and somebody says this is a plumber, you would know that they were, because of course they are. Why else would they be in the Yellow Pages? But nowadays, if you call a number, or if you find a website, or you find a link, or there's no way of knowing whether they're legitimate or not. And with AI, it is possible. I mean, if he wanted to, he could have simply spoken into an AI and had it Americanize his accent. It could have been a Brooklyn accent. It could have been a Southern accent. It could have been from wherever. He could do that with AI. Scammers no longer need to sound like they're calling from another country. There's so many things that leave people open to the potential for abuse. And I'm not sure, Mary, maybe you've got some insight that I haven't come to yet, but I have not yet figured out how you could have avoided this. Do you have any thoughts on how, if you were to do this again, you might do it differently? I mean, I guess we dodged a bullet anyway, so,
Yeah, I think the answer is we dodged a bullet. First of all, I think one of the things was it was too good to be true from the beginning. And now looking back in retrospect, so it was too good to be true from the beginning. And then once we got to the financial piece of it, I'm just like, something's not right here. This is just not panning out. And it didn't. So I don't know if it was due diligence or if it was just, discernment, like you said yesterday, and, the fact that I just raised the flag. But if I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have known otherwise. I probably would have fallen for it because it was just too good to be true.
Yeah, so I think that's part of it. And I remember reading a while back about, I don't even know what they're called, hucksters. Grifters and hucksters, people who back during even the Depression and that whole era, you've got movies about it in Hollywood and stuff, but this scamming people has been around for as long as there have been people scamming people. And the key thing to find, to figure out that you're dealing with a scammer and their key weapon to use against you is the deal is just too good to pass up. And that's right. The one thing I think is in common with both of these. It was exactly what we needed to move the book. He was willing to take the books, get them in the Amazon warehouse, no problem. He's willing to talk to you Sunday. And I think one of the key things that we really liked about him is that we could get him on the phone because we couldn't get Amazon on the phone. I had people texting me saying, you should have just called Amazon and seen if it was legitimate. You try calling Amazon. Right. We've been trying for months. You cannot call Amazon. You can't. There's no number. There's no one to call. So the fact that he was so willing to talk to you was too good to be true. Amazon is not going to talk to us. And the fact that you had an Amazon rep who was willing to talk to you, not only talk to you for 2 hours, talk to you on a Sunday, answer your text right. Instantly, when we had hit brick wall after brick wall that you can't talk to Amazon. You can chat with a bot maybe briefly and you won't get any answers. You can't talk to a person. So that right there was too good to be true. And then the deal he was offering was too good to be true. And then once we're like, this is great.
Well, it was 50% off.
Yeah.
He made it 50% off.
I think it was 90% off. Yeah, I think that was a $100,000 deal.
The whole thing is, poor Robert Patterson, it cost him $15,000 for the exact same level of service that we were getting. That because it was all documented the exact same way that our contract was, and ours was $32.50, 50% off, which is still way less than $15,000. And the poor guy paid $15,000.
It's unbelievable. Couple more texts coming in. Caller ID can be spoofed. It is true. You can absolutely spoof caller ID. I could place a phone call to you and it would look like it's coming in from the White House. So just the fact that it says it's coming in from Amazon doesn't mean anything. The address that they provide on their letterhead, you can look up the address. It's actual Amazon. The address that he gave to ship the books to is an actual Amazon warehouse. So you can't, and yet the domain that he had was, Jake Williams at AmazonPublishing.com. And so I was like, let me look up AmazonPublishing.com. And that's when I saw, and they've since taken it down because you alerted him to it. But it said the account suspended. It had a really scary looking warning message on there. And now that's gone, and it just says whatever. So he was able to take that down and get that replaced in the meantime. But so caller ID can be spoofed. They will put, let's say that the guy, what was his name, Curtis, who called you from Amazon, he could have spoofed the number and been calling you from a New York City number, which if you called back would have, gone to some kind of Amazon phone tree, and you would have known, oh, that's Amazon. He could easily just copy that number and stick it in there. They can scan business cards. When you said have a guy, let's talk to someone from Amazon, I was saying, you know what he's going to do? He's going to go on their corporate website. He's going to find the name of somebody that actually works for Amazon and the phone number and the information of a person who actually works for Amazon. He's going to have a buddy call you back and claim to be that person. And if you look that person up, you'll see he's legit. He's real. He exists. He is the director of whatever services. And you'll be like, oh, I just spoke to him. But you're not speaking to him. You're speaking to some guy pretending to be him. And as AI gets more sophisticated, not so much to me, but maybe it was actually Jake. I figured it was another guy. But with AI getting so good, if you could get a couple of sentences out of the actual guy they're pretending to be, you could actually have AI emulate being that actual guy in his actual voice, and it would sound just like him if you actually happen to know the guy. So I don't know. There's so many pieces to this. David is writing, you need to call them. It's more than likely you'll get the right person. When you get the call, there's no way to know for sure. Well, we called them. We did call them. You initiated all of this, yeah.
I called everybody.
Yeah. So anyway, I want people to be aware of the scamming potential. I want people to be aware of the danger, and I want people to see how they do this. So it's too good to be true. Back in the 1930s and 40s, when I was reading about grifters doing this and hucksters doing this, they would offer you, something amazing. Like, I've got this amazing job, or this amazing or here, put your money in this box and look, you're taking out twice as much. Sometimes they were literally that lame, but it's always too good to be true. And it's always something you actually want. Erica writes in about a scam that happened to her. She says, in Encino, California, she was the victim of a knock-knock burglar. And here's what happened. Someone came to my home in Encino offering brush clearance service, meaning to clear out the brush behind your house, the overgrowth of plants. When I was just searching for that, so obviously they can go down the street and see who needs that service. So it's not, they didn't read your mind, Erica. They probably just looked at your backyard and went, I bet she could use some brush clearing services. And get what happened next. So stupidly, she writes, stupidly, I said, yes, I am. Let me show you the backyard. I left the front door unlocked and showed this guy the backyard. While showing him the backyard, someone else came into my home through the unlocked front door and stole jewelry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, it's, and then David writes, it's hard to trust anything that comes in out of the cold. I think that is biblical. I think it's, I'll have to look it up, but it's at least good advice that I heard many times from my mom, is if you need to hire somebody, you need to you need to actually look for them. Do not take the first person who just comes and pops up and says, here I am. So I gotta find where that is in the Bible. I know that the Bible also says, don't eat an animal that you find dead by the side of the road. It's kind of similar. It's not quite the same, but it's a little similar. If it's already there and it's already killed and it's already meat, walk away, because yuck. If it's just too tailor-made, too ready for you, but stinking a little bit with some flies around. All right, Mary, thank you so much for spotting this scam, so we didn't fall for it. I thank you. We'll have to go out and have a nice dinner with our our savings, our $3,000 savings.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. All right. This is Katherine Albrecht. Stay safe from scams, guys. They're everywhere, and hopefully this can help you. If this can save even one person from falling for a scam, it was worth every minute. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget, check out our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and comment, and do all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. God bless you. Bye bye.